Ithaca presents One Ukrainian Summer, a memoir about falling in love and coming of age in the former USSR, written and read by Viv Groskop. Author's note. This is a memoir of the time I spent in the former Soviet Union in the early 1990s. The events in this audiobook are true and the people are real. Names and some identifying details have been changed. These are my personal recollections of that time. Conversations are as I remember them. To write this book, I've relied on my memory and some personal notes. The translations and transliterations, transposing of the Cyrillic alphabet into English, are mine. Any linguistic errors or misunderstandings are mine. The language, spellings and references are intended to reflect my recollections of common post-Soviet usage in the early 1990s rather than the correct modern usage, particularly in reference to names and place names, i.e. Vladimir, Volodymyr, Kiev, Kyiv, Kryvyi Rog, Kryvyi Rih, Odessa, Odessa. In the dream, I see a flash of yellow through the train window. Look, Vivka, sanyashniki, sunflowers. I can hear Rosa's voice, but I can't remember her face. My eyes are closed and I don't want to open them. Rosa reaches up to the top bunk and pulls on the hem of my jeans where my feet are poking over the mattress. I'm not a tall person, but Soviet-issue train beds are not the longest, and even someone as short as me is cramped. I think, how are you supposed to sleep on a train if you're tall, like a KGB agent? Although I suppose you don't have to be tall to be in the KGB. And maybe you wouldn't travel on a train if you were in the KGB anyway. You would travel in one of those special cars they call a Black Marussia. Or is that a prison truck? Why am I thinking about the KGB? The KGB doesn't need to be in this dream. Everyone keeps telling me the KGB doesn't exist anymore anyway. Stop being obsessed with the KGB, Vivka. Это по-старому. That is the old way. My limbs are stiff and I've had enough of this train. Something is itching. Rosa gasps and points out of the window. This time I see her face. She has pale little pixie features, a shock of dyed orange hair, and John Lennon glasses that make her look like an old lady librarian. I'm 21 and I think everyone looks old. She's probably about 30. I scooch around on the top bunk and pull myself onto my elbows. The scene flashing by the windows could be out of a film, a reel still on replay 30 years later. Endless sunflowers form a glorious blur of yellow against the blue of the sky like a firestorm. They're almost gaudy, a scene from a tourist board promotion, if such a thing existed after the collapse of the Soviet travel company Intourist. Why am I thinking about Intourist? They don't exist anymore either, everyone says so. It's like a meteor shower of sunflowers, a blast of sunshine screaming, "Welcome to Ukraine, you are no longer in Russia." Or maybe I'm the one internally screaming that. In the dream, I blink the tiredness and the irritation out of my eyes. It has been a long journey. I want to breathe. I want to hear my own thoughts in the right language. What is the right language? Я розмовляю трошку на українську мову. I speak a little Ukrainian. I'm tired of holding my breath and trying to understand. Rosa is shouting at me on the train. She seems angry, but it's just because the noise from the tracks is so loud. I should be used to someone talking Russian so fast, but the train is noisy and I'm losing every other word. I put my book down. I'm not reading it anyway. I'm only half pretending to read so that Rosa will stop talking to me, or rather at me. She has talked at me all the way from Moscow to Kiev, a journey of 12 hours, a journey with no earplugs. The flash of yellow lights up both our faces and we laugh. I don't want to feel like a tourist. I don't want to be a cliché, but the sunflowers really are breathtaking. Rosa is not an outsider and even she is moved by them. She sits back down at the window, cups her chin in her hand and sighs with contentment.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?